Imagine if you had the responsibility to give the government advice as it relates to economic and social policies for the development of Jamaica. That's what the Planning Institute of Jamaica does. And we're here to sit with the Director General, Dr. Wayne Henry, for that interview. Rol, what you up to? All right, let's go.
All right, Dr. Wayne Henry, thank you very much, DG, for joining us.
Sure,
right?
Thank you.
So, want to start off with, what is the PIOJ?
The PIOJ, the Planning Institute of Jamaica, is the main policy advice and formulation agency of government, giving advice, policy advice along the lines of economic, social, and environmental policy.
So is it fair to say that government says what they want to be done and you guys advise on how you can execute that?
Yes, in large measure, and also to even give advice on what we think we would recommend to be done. So we also safeguard and help to promulgate the sustainable development of the country. So when you think of Vision 2030, Jamaica, or National Development Plan, then we are responsible for the monitoring of the implementation of Vision 2030. And now, where the world is looking at the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, then we are responsible also for seeing that implementation and rollout in Jamaica. And it's not a one-man, we can't do it by ourselves, so we do a lot of coordination among all stakeholders, both with private sector, academia, civil society, the public sector, among ministries, departments, agencies. So I think the coordination, mandate falls with us also.
All right, so in terms of debt, right, 47% percentage points of GDP is a lot. So we're moving from 147 to 100, that's a lot.
Correct,
right?
correct.
Is it fair that we can draw a direct line from debt reduction to improve development?
Correct, yes.
Is that a fair correlation?
That's fair, and I appreciate the question, because really, most times you would speak normatively, and by normative meaning what should be, because it's possible that you can reduce debt and the savings you realize are not used efficiently. Right? But properly and based on the coordination we've been hearing and the sort of bipartisan support for our medium-term economic program, the good news is we seem to have buy-in right across the board, broad consensus on what we need to do. And one of our success stories is that we've been doing so well along the continuum of our development plan, because it has enjoyed that sort of broad bipartisan support. So even as governments change, there is still that full support for Vision 2030 Jamaica. And we've made tremendous progress. Yes, we have a ways to go, but we've made tremendous progress along the lines of, you think of debt reduction, you think of along the lines of macroeconomic stability, you think of a lot of our economic indicators, we've seen tremendous improvements. We've seen in some of our health indicators, reductions in child mortality, infant mortality. We've seen, in terms of vaccinations and some things that we do very well at, and we've made great progress. And we are thinking now in a business context, in an investment context, how do we enhance the framework for investment for the country? What are some of those areas that you may think we would think as potential areas for investment? We think easily logistics, as we mentioned, the whole logistics hub as an investment opportunity. We've been undertaking quite a bit of investment in terms of dredging, deepening our harbors to allow access for larger vessels. We've seen a lot of modernization of port facilities with larger cranes, etc. We speak of the blue economy, that because we are surrounded by blue economy, it speaks of the economic value to be derived from our oceans. and we are surrounded by oceans, and so there's tremendous value. The research is showing that for some countries, as they quantify for fisher folk, as they quantify the economic benefits to come from coral and the reefs, and as attractions, ability to allow snorkeling and deep sea diving, and which enhances the tourism product. There's quite a bit to be had in terms of economic benefit. We think of the BPO sector, what we would call now, where we're targeting is knowledge process outsourcing, KPO. We're moving now to how do we integrate higher, more upskill training in accounting services, some professional services, financial intermediation. You think of legal services, management services. So a lot of areas that we want to see, and that's right, we think, for investment. So quite a bit of potential. So we have quite a lot of areas. And as we see those areas, we have to build that framework around, and hence we speak of a framework for investment for those in the diaspora and otherwise.
Director General, thank you very much for your time, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So Raul, this was a unique interview because while we didn't speak with a CEO, we got a chance to sit with an institution that really helps facilitate growth and business for the titans that we air on the show.
Yeah, man, and to the extent that the government's job is creating an enabling environment for business, these guys are key because these are some of the main architects that make that possible.
That's right. And what's great, we get to hear the policies and plans that they're doing, but then you recognize that there's broad agreement. So you see sustainability as it relates to some of these plans.
Yeah, man, and whenever we listen to like IMF officials speak, they always make a point of just how broad the buy-in is of really the reforms that are taking place. I tell you though, what bowled me over really was just seeing him delineate and highlight all of the opportunities that really abound. That's right. You talk about this blue economy is the first I was hearing about what we can do with reefs and scuba diving. When he spoke about building out the infrastructure plans that they formulated a while back that are now being implemented, he talked about the connectivity. So when you realize that a warehouse that maybe didn't make sense before, now it does because of the transport infrastructure. A hotel that maybe didn't make sense before, same thing. So we're really seeing the genesis of the opportunities that we've been talking.
And he really just gets the chance to set the way for the opportunities, whether you are a businessman and investor. Again, opportunities abound.
That's right.